What's the most exploitative way you've seen someone run a business? I found out the hard way when I spent 6 months building an entire product for a guy who didn't even bother to write me a letter of recommendation. It started like most internships do. I was fresh out of university, eager to get some real-world experience. I applied to this fast-growing tech startup that promised hands-on exposure to product development, marketing, and UX design. It sounded perfect. The guy running it, we'll call him Neil, seemed legit enough. He said they were preparing for their first funding round, and this was a ground floor opportunity. What I didn't realize was there was no funding round, no real company, and no employees, just Neil and 20 unpaid interns. On the first day, we were all dumped into a Slack channel. There was no HR, no orientation, no real structure. Neil welcomed us with a copy-pasted message and then went radio silent. I figured maybe he was just busy, but within the first week, it became clear we were the company. There was no one else. I was assigned to the product team, which sounded exciting at first, until I realized I was the product team. I was asked to create wireframes, design the user interface, write user onboarding emails, and even build a prototype using Webflow. I wasn't just helping, I was doing the job of a full-time employee, and I wasn't alone. Other interns were tasked with marketing strategies, pitch decks, competitor research, and customer support, even though we had no customers. The only thing Neil did consistently was show up to our daily 30-minute stand-ups. He'd unmute himself just long enough to say, "Good work, keep at it," and then vanish for the rest of the day. I started asking around. Do any of you know if he has a technical background? Nope. Has anyone here seen an actual roadmap? Nothing. Is he paying anyone? Nope. Just us. All unpaid. All working like full-time employees. At one point, I wrote a 12-page onboarding manual for new interns because Neil kept recruiting more. Every week or two, new faces would pop into Slack. He was cycling people in and out like it was a revolving door. Some left after a week. Others stayed, hoping the experience would lead to something. I stayed, mostly out of pride. I had put so much time into this project that I didn't want it to be for nothing. I figured if I kept my head down and did good work, at the very least, I'd walk away with a solid letter of recommendation. 6 months in, the internship ended. I scheduled a meeting with Neil and asked if he'd be willing to write me a letter. His response? "I'm afraid we have a company policy against that." What? I thought he was joking. I had literally built half the product myself. I had documentation, designs, emails, and hours of Slack messages to prove it. But he stuck to the line. "We don't provide individual letters. It's just our policy." I was stunned. I didn't ask for a job. I didn't ask for money. I just wanted a letter confirming that I didn't spend 6 months chasing a pipe dream. But he wouldn't budge. Later, I found out, through another former intern, that this no recommendation thing wasn't new. Neil had done this before. In fact, one intern had contacted their university about it, and the school ended up blacklisting him from future internship programs. Apparently, Neil would just post new unpaid listings every few weeks under different job titles, always vague, always unpaid, and always promising huge opportunity. That's when it clicked. This guy never intended to build a real company. He just needed free labor to make him look busy. The interns were the product. He just needed enough mock-ups and jargon to convince someone, maybe a school, maybe an investor, that something was happening. Looking back, I was angry, but I was also grateful because I documented everything. The emails I wrote, the pages I built, the tools I used. I turned that into a portfolio and got real interviews elsewhere. No thanks to Neil. The lesson? If someone says you're going to wear many hats and disrupt the industry, but can't explain what their company actually does, run. And if they want you to work for free while doing all the work, run faster.